Join us for our next NRG Series event on Sunday, May 2nd. The format is modern this time, and we'll have a $2,000 cash prize pool. Even if you don't have an MTGO collection, you can rent a deck for the weekend starting at $10 with card order. If you can't play, be sure to catch live coverage on Twitch, hosted by Joe Lossett and our guest commentators. Registration is open today, so don't delay. We'll see you on the battlefield.
And you're... That's the first time I tripped up by the live mic during the flourish there. Anyway, we're back. Round 5's getting put together. I'm here with Julian Knab for another round. Elves expert and legacy. If you've been playing a long time, you play a lot of different decks, obviously, at this point throughout your time. We'll see how much you have to say about Ruby Storm and the upgrades it has gotten recently. So Ruby Storm, for people not familiar, is a mono-red Storm deck using Ruby Medallion, and now actually has a new card, Birgi, God of Storytelling, from Kaldheim.
Yeah, that's something, right? Ruby Storm has always been around as like one of the less popular Storm combo decks, even though bonus round makes the deck absolutely insane, especially once you resolve like your second bonus round, which, if I remember correctly, like it doubles all your spells or something that you cast. And I'm actually not sure what Birgi really does for the deck. I haven't really played against it ever since, but I see that it adds even more mana as you cast your spells.
Right. So the Birgi is a 3-mana 3/3, and the front half, and every time you play a spell, you get a red mana. So it's like another Ruby Medallion. It discounts all your cards.
True. Basically, that's the effect of it, right? So your Mana Force is going to produce extra mana just like it does under Ruby Medallion. And the nice thing is, for example, that I see just right now, Ruby Medallion doesn't help you out with like Rite of Flame, and even the second Ruby Medallion doesn't do anything about your Mana Forces or like your Lotus Petals and stuff. But Birgi actually works on any spell, so in a way, it's even better than Ruby Medallion, right?
And then you back half of Birgi. For people that might be unfamiliar with the back half of Birgi, both sides are playable in this deck. Is a 5-mana artifact where you can discard a card and exile the top 2 cards of your deck and play them this turn. So it's also a enabler for Storm. Basically, you can play off the rest of whatever extra cards you have, you can burn off at 2-for-1s to get into the rest of your cards. So plays both sides. I don't know, pretty interesting. This is a deck that I've only played against a few times and not messed with myself, but I saw it 5-0 to League, and I was like, this is definitely fringe. This counts. We'll put it to our guests and test them out.
It's definitely scary, right? Because one of the ways that the deck loses is if it just like floods out or doesn't draw any kind of relevant spells. But now you've got this Horn as well to turn your lands into like potentially 2 business spells. That's scary. Yeah,
no, I think it's pretty neat. Anyway, not something that we're probably jumping to play. I mean, if I'm going to play a deck with main deck defense cards, I'm going to play Artifact Storm, not Ruby Storm. But yeah, certainly whatever archetype, whatever play style that you favor personally, you can probably find it in 5-0 League, given some work and maybe some good luck. Maybe, I mean, these decks don't 5-0 every day, so maybe it takes some good fortune lined up for some of these things, like Giant Tribal to win a league, but you never know.
It's gonna take over, right? The best tribal deck in the world. I'm still scared for a true
Elves can forget about it. Giant Tribal is here to show them what's up.
People are still waiting for better Minotaurs to be printed. We even recently got a couple of those, right? So there's an actual Minotaur deck in Legacy now.
Sure. Does it have what's wasn't there a card from like Homelands or something?
Didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo. What does that do? Let's put them into play for free or something?
Yeah, basically it costs 1 colorless, and for 3 you can put a Minotaur into play, and that deck is kind of real in the sense that it's like a bad. Okay, let's say like the other way around. It's one of the best tier 3 decks.
Sure.
I've actually lost against it.
All right, we'll put that on your resume. Bizarre Moxen Champion also lost to the Didgeridoo deck.
Twice in a single tournament. But yeah, let's not talk about that. I am trying to forget.
Okay, all right. So when we have the match for round 5 ready to go, we'll hit it. We're going to feature 2 undefeated players, which is something that we have not been able to do for the last year or so because we have always a lot of players to draw, but they can't do that today. So the players aren't quite ready yet. So let's just briefly, by not allowing draws, what it's going to change somewhat in the structure is that it's going to make, I guess we're going to say, tiebreakers end up becoming more relevant somewhat, although the players that would start undefeated that are then going to draw will end up with the best tiebreakers, even though they're now forced to play. But we'll have more battling it out have more players finishing at 4-2 and 5-1 than we did previously. And they're only
The players that we're going to see here, I think we were told, are both 4-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And at that, they are very likely to make the top 8, even if they lose twice now. But the winner here is guaranteed to make top 8 because the 5-0, even if they go into 5-1, they are going to be in the top 8. So this is kind of like a win and in now, even though both players are probably going to make it. So, and I think we've heard the match is probably going to be Hogaak against, what was it again?
Lands.
Oh,
it is Hogaak versus Lands. So this is the winner of this is going to lock up top 8, and the loser is still going to have a pretty good chance. But we have Owen Turcotte on Hogaak versus Matt Brown on Lands. So let's see how this goes.
So from my perspective, the way what you want to do with Hogaak is you probably want to actually combo them out if you can, because Tabernacle is just going to be so devastating against you, right? There's
sure. Yeah, and
only
also
2 or 3 creatures you can pay for. I mean, Vengewine, now that we see it here, is one way to somewhat get around Tabernacle, but it's not easy in the long run.
Right, and then Glacial Chasm on top of that, also tough to get through sometimes. So yeah, the Hogaak, when you say combo them out, we're talking about milling them with the artifact. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Altar of Dementia.
Altar of Dementia, that's right. So we see here a mulligan for Owen, puts back a Hogaak, I believe, was selected.
Yeah, and I think if I'm on the land side, I already know, like, it's always great when you have acceleration in lands, but it's probably even more important in a matchup like this. And neither seeing a Mox Diamond nor an exploration, that's probably gotta hurt, because I'm not sure what you're really looking to do here on the second turn now.
Mm-hmm. So given that we didn't see that, then, and the hand would still keep on 7 cards, is it likely then we're going to see crop rotation for potentially Bujugabog if there's one main deck?
Yeah, I would guess that there's at least like one crop rotation out there. The other thing that I would think is that there's the Wasteland coming down already. Mm-hmm. That I would think we're just going to try to Wasteland them out really hard very early on and then drop a Tabernacle. So they will never be able to actually get enough mana to get the altar down and have enough creatures on the board. In the long run, though, we would still need Exploration or Mox Diamond for that. Ideally, Exploration, because we can't keep Wastelanding and drop a Tabernacle. But on the other hand, Hogaak is also eventually going to miss land drops, which is going to give us an opportunity to get a Tabernacle.
Mm-hmm. So the Careful Study here does find a couple lands. I was tempted by the idea of Cabal Therapy here, blind naming crop rotation, just because it seems like it's likely our opponent has one. But that was not the choice. And this is understandable too. You don't want to, just not develop at all on purpose. But this will be interesting to see how Matt Brown here has what tools. If there's crop rotation there for there is a Bujugabog main deck, I may just have run it out there. So I don't know. Maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I wonder if this is just going to be like probably not a Ghost Quarter. It actually could be a Ghost Quarter, even though that's like just a one-off. I wonder whether we are considering Wastelanding here again or casting something. But that's really not much for 2 we want to cast. Like, okay, I guess it's just going to be a Wasteland again, yeah. Because if we were considering casting, what's it called? Life from the Loam, we'd rather Wasteland first and then get back one more Wasteland. And now we're just taking out the entire graveyard and we're saying, okay, make something work. Make something work.
So that is tough. There is their crop rotation for the main deck with Jugabog. At least it's gone now. That's something.
It can come back if you Wasteland it and Loam it. I've seen it.
Yeah, sure. That's certainly something that could happen. Pitching 2 therapies here, okay. And I mean, Altar of Dementia. You talked about that. You felt like that was more realistic win condition. Maybe that can get going here.
Yeah, and being able to get that into play with the Wuchuka Bog basically out of the picture, like you mentioned, I think there's a way we can make this work, but we probably need something else. I mean, Altar of Dementia plus Stitcher Supplier is a really nice combo because that's gonna allow us to get really deep into our deck. It's almost scary now for lands. I mean, lands still has a lot of things going on. Maybe we find an exploration and a loam here, in which case we would be able to at least take off one more of the lands. I mean, if you find a Mox Diamond on top of that, we could get rid of both lands. Okay, there's the Mox Diamond. Is that the exploration in the loam as well? That would be insane.
Yeah. Well, so the Sylvan Library kept both cards, so we see. Oh, we see Valakut Exploration. Interesting. That is a route to build up some damage.
Yeah, it also allows you to go through your deck really quickly, right?
Yeah. It definitely can. Oh, another therapy. That's not worth much, but okay, Stitcher Supplier, it's on you. You better do some work here. Bridge is a good start.
Oh, that's pretty good. We'd need... What can we get back from the graveyard this turn so we can like get into Hogaak? I think there's nothing really. So we can't really go for it this turn, but we can probably like try and set up for a pretty decent next turn. But we are gonna get Wasteland, so we actually won't be able to really get... Okay, we are in a pretty bad spot actually, now that I think about it. Unless we draw... Like if we draw a land next turn, then we can get the Gravecrawler down, but then we still don't have a Hogaak. Yeah, this is yeah, we already see the OMG ... in chat. This is pretty bad. This is pretty bad for Hogaak here. I mean, we're hovering over the Cable Therapies. There's nothing we really want to name.
No.
We'd rather keep the token around.
Yeah, Call Therapy is not... I mean, you got like a 1.5 turn window against lands before it's worthless. All right, so Matt Brown here has... we're on turn 6. I don't think a loam has even gone to the graveyard yet this game, which is pretty unusual. But knowing the matchup ahead of time, the crop rotation obviously did a lot of work, and now developing Sylvan Library is just picking up oodles of cards.
I wouldn't mind finding another Exploration. Exploration is just so insane, especially with Valakut Exploration. That those two cards go really well together. And yeah, it's kind of sad for Hogaak, but I think the best bet right now is to attack with a zombie 4 times, because we are never ever gonna have more than 1 mana, and I don't know how we're supposed to win from there.
Yeah, Field of the Dead picked up also, but that's not going to do much for a while. And that's Exploration flips over Maze of Ith, which would be pretty great, but with no explanation, okay, the redundant card names are going to kind of screw me here. With no actual exploration, the Valakut Exploration is not as valuable.
Yeah, I think one way that we actually could get more mana is if we found, like a fetch land for Hogaak, and the land stack doesn't find exploration, so we can't go like waste the fetch land, waste whatever you find. So that way we can actually have more mana, and then we are probably going to need something like Stitcher Supplier to get more stuff into graveyard. At this point, I would actually really start considering wastelanding my own Bochuka Bog so I can get rid of the graveyard, because once the Bochuka Bog comes down again, I think the game just ends.
Yeah. Last zone, I guess, could take out the altar eventually. Punishing Fire wipes out the token, and that's infinite Punishing Fires with the Grove of the Burmills on the board. So, yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, like the only window we really have left is trying to find either a fetch land or a land, and then sandbagging that land in hand and drawing the Stitcher Supplier, which is then supposed to, I don't know, mill over another. Yeah, it's just like so far out there. It's basically near impossible from there. It requires not only an insane amount of runners to it off the top of the deck, it also requires Matt to not wasteland his own Bochuka Bog and get it back down the next turn.
Yeah. Which, you're right, we'll probably see that very soon. And every turn, the Sylvan Library is seeing a whole new set of cards because of the dredging from Life of the Loam. Oh no, no real action that turn.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a real chance that just, crop rotation comes down here and we're just going to win with the token.
Yep.
Instead.
Okay,
we're going to get rid of the altar. And I guess the Sylvan Library as well then, but okay.
Oh, Matt doesn't really need his Sylvan Library too badly. Oh, there's the Dark Depths.
Yeah, you can just consider we literally have no draw left that actually does anything.
Yep. Okay, so Matt Brown takes down game 1. I apologize. The interplay between us and the website where we take the card images from is still struggling, as it has been all day. So once again, this round, we're not going to have deck lists available for you. That's unfortunate. I know that helps identify things and see how they're going to play out, but we just can't make it work consistently today. And this round is one of the ones where it's taking off. Now you can use ! deck lists and get your own link to the deck lists. So you all can look at the deck list. Julian and I will be in the dark for at least some of it. But we have there, like we saw, lands versus Hogaak. Not a shocking way to see game 1 play out, I wouldn't say. That's probably pretty common with the crop rotation in the deck. To get Bojuka Bog, wipe out the early development, and then it's just too late for Hogaak to recover.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting in the second game. Hogaak usually has a certain number of Assassin's Trophies in the sideboard, which you definitely want to bring in because you already mentioned that Glacial Chasm is a problem to overcome. Tabernacle is annoying. And you can sometimes use them rather tactically. You go for them one time because you know the turn after they're going to be back because of Loam. But the one turn you get where your stuff survives the Tabernacle or where there's not going to be a Glacial Chasm, this is where you go in and you either try to combo them with the altar or you go for a lethal win with, tons of attackers. It's gonna be awkward because there's still gonna be, Thespian stages, which can in response copy the card. And so you're not gonna get that effect out of the way easily. But yeah, I mean, this is what you sign up for Legacy, right? Deep technical interactions, and you have to find your way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we do have the sideboard. We can't put the deck list up, but we can actually look at them briefly here. And it looks like the lands deck doesn't gain a whole lot. There's Force of Vigor potentially to kill the altar, but I don't know that that's all that likely. However, in combination with the Leyline of the Voids in the sideboard of Hogaak, maybe the Force of Vigors do come in. But like Julian's correct, there are Assassin's Trophies and Abrupt Decays, and then also Leyline of the Voids potentially coming in for the Hogaak side of things. So we'll take a look.
I'm not even sure if you want to go for the ley lines. It depends on which, I'm not super seasoned in which kind of strategy you want to play. If you think you can really grind them out and play a long game, then you can bring in the ley lines. But if you think, especially on the play, your best bet is to go for it rather quickly, then you might as well just leave the ley lines out of the picture, at least on the play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we see here the opener for Owen. There are 2 lands and a Sigil Supplier, which is nice. I'm not sure if this is a kept 7 or if this is a debated 6.
I think it looks like they're still thinking about it because it says chooses to play first, nothing beneath that.
Yeah.
So how would you feel about the 7? Like you get the Supplier.
Okay, so we're already on. Yeah, so we're on 6 already. So we're evaluating this as a 6. I think I want to keep. I don't think I want to go take a chance on getting wastelanded out too badly. So I want to keep my 2 lands because I don't want to risk only having 1. Even though I'm not thrilled about this hand.
I'm somewhat surprised that the cable therapies are still in there, but yeah, you don't really have too much to bring in, like we mentioned, like only really the Assassin's Trophies, and maybe there's going to be some leftover cable therapies. Sometimes they're also nice to just have a sack outlet for your creatures when you have a couple of bridges in the yard to just get more creatures.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have value, and yeah, Vengevine in hand is really awkward. You can cable therapy it away, but you're probably never going to cast it for 4 mana in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this hand is weird. It has a couple of cards that actually want to serve in a graveyard that don't naturally go there.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get things going. If you're going to Cabal Therapy, I feel like it should be now and just name Crop Rotation or maybe potentially something else. But Instant Speed Bojuka Bog, I feel like, is the most significant threat.
Yeah, it's between crop rotation and exploration for me. I think the last game would have been over even faster, like way faster if there had been an exploration. And I can't really say you fear the card, but you fear the kind of games the card creates. Obviously, it's like very high risk, high reward, because if you miss and they have crop rotation, that's devastating to you. And sometimes they got these hands where the exploration doesn't even matter all that much because they still have Mox Diamonds. It's a call I don't really want to make, but I think it might be worth it. Of course, the other options, you go for the Stitcher supplier, and then you cast the Bloodgust on the next turn. But I think is that going to give you enough for the Hogaak? I think it barely does, actually. With the 2 fetch lands and the Stitcher's Mill, you could cast Hogaak next turn, I think.
Okay, so supplier does come in off of a fetched basic swamp and flips over Altar of Dementia, and I think I saw a Gravecrawler there.
Yeah, there's a Gravecrawler in there. Oh, Tabernacle. Okay. That's not that bad. We can actually cast Gravecrawler, but actually we can just like get rid of our Stitcher supplier if we really want to, but maybe the play is to pay for it and then Caber Therapy and then flashback the Caber Therapy. I don't hate that. This way we still get the thing in the yard and we get to Caber Therapy twice.
Right. And then we would have, I guess, Hogaak enabled from hand in the future turn. If we go Gravecrawler from hand, Gravecrawler from graveyard, then we could...
Oh yeah, we could also go for the Hogaak, like we mentioned, now that we drew the Gravecrawler, because the one from the graveyard would barely stop us from casting Hogaak. But now that we drew a 1-mana creature, we could also just go for the Hogaak. I also don't hate that. Like, put your opponent under a ton of pressure with a 8/8 on the second turn.
Whoa.
Dryad Arbor. Okay, yeah, that works too. Dryad Arbor is just going to be a little awkward in the long run because of the Tabernacle, right?
Yeah. So now, presumably, Dryad Arbor pays for itself, and then Swamp pays for Hogaak, and we let... Oh,
that
gosh. That's rough.
Look at lands, like turn 2, we still don't have any kind of mana in play, like any kind of access to it. It's like, yeah, I just like play these spells that don't cost me mana.
Oh boy, how is Owen gonna dig out of this?
I think the first step is to probably let your Twitcher's supplier die.
Yeah. In fact, it would have been nice to stack it so the supplier was up first, so you can make your other decisions based on what happens there.
True. Like if you middle like a bridge, then you could like let your Dryad Arbor maybe die and stuff. Yeah, just to have the extra information.
But this does put us okay. So we used Dryad Arbor to save one of the other creatures, and then let the Arbor go. Yeesh. So this maybe could work out eventually, but it does, by playing it like this, the mill option, the combo option was kind of abandoned. Not that the cards existed to run it anyway, but we kind of eliminated any chance we have to do it by first setting up Dryad Arbor. So this is...
Crop rotation's a smart name here, because if we actually did have exploration, we would have probably played exploration on the first turn and then played like just the Tabernacle afterwards. And we got a quick look. I think there's Winesap Teeth, Punishing Fire twice, and I thought Thespian Stage.
Yeah, and I think there's Valak Exploration as well as the 2 crop rotations that were tagged. So this is, something, but...
Yeah, this is actually pretty weak, right? What we're trying to find here is something like, well, we need 2 more lands and then an Assassin's Trophy. That's already going to be really hard, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a land. That helps. I feel like this Hogaak might just be getting sacrificed to Cabal Therapy. No, I guess there's no reason to do that yet, but...
I'd actually love to get some Vengewines in there, I guess, but... I mean, at this point, you probably can't play around Wasteland too much anyway. Get the delta. Gonna get this one back. I mean, there's no need to immediately get rid of the Valakut Exploration, but if you have, if you have the extra mana and you have a Gravecrawler somewhere in there, well, I guess you can also do it like that, right? Because the Fetchland is gonna get you back to Bloodgust eventually anyway. But yeah, you're not really playing towards a game plan right now, which is the problematic thing, right? Like you mentioned, the middle plan was somewhat abandoned. On the other hand, Hands also doesn't really have a game plan going on, but they still have the out of just like randomly drawing Dark Depth and then getting there with the Thespian stage.
Yeah, and a Wasteland is the draw. That's not good news either. I think Owen only had the one basic. So that other land is kind of a one-shot deal.
This is just like such an evil combination against the one basic land deck, Tabernacle plus Maze of It. It's like you're never going to get through this.
Yeah, it looks like I was wrong. I think there were actually some more copies of Swamp in the deck. But all right. Well, no. That's not it.
Artsy's certainly getting sent back. Isn't there an Urza's Destiny card? I think it's called Encroach, that allows you to make them discard non-basic lands for 1 mana.
Yeah.
Always wondered whether we will ever see that in Legacy.
Yeah, back in the day when discard was a little more targeted. Yeah, non-basic lands. That's right.
Ooh,
there you go. Yeah, I mean, you could play that now. You could, how many Delver decks keep one land hands with 2 cantrips and 2 Delvers? Go first, take their fetch land, they're done.
I mean, crazier spells have been played in Legacy. And like people love their mono black Pox style decks with sinkholes and stuff, and that could go right in there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy discard spells. My favorite unplayed discard spell, I always tried to find a home for it, and I never really could. I even considered it for miracles on numerous occasions, is Venerian Glimmer. Do you know that one?
Oh, what's that one? No.
We'll see if we can pop that one up. That's going to be a card that people are surprised exists. There you go. Venerian Glimmer, blue and X, instant.
Okay, yeah, blue instant speed discard is something I've never seen before, honestly.
Yeah, blue instant. And you can see their hand for 2 mana, it's an instant speed Thoughtseize for you only take 1 mana spells, but in Legacy, there's lots of 1 mana spells. For 1 mana, you could take, free artifact, Lion's Eye Diamond type of thing. I don't know. I considered it, and I thought it would be cool just because no one would ever, like in a paper event, every single round your opponent would have to read the card.
Oh, that's why I wanted. Didn't you almost play the Emrakul, not the Promised End? Actually, the Promised End, right? In your Miracles list, in some cheapie.
There was. No, it was the card. I don't remember ever playing that in Miracles. I did play the Take Possession in one event.
I'm almost sure maybe it was somebody else, but somebody told me that they almost played Emrakul the Promised End in their Miracles deck, and I think it was the Legend Miracles deck because you can bounce it and replay it.
Sure.
That's the one that takes your opponent's turn.
Yeah, I don't remember doing that myself, but I could see someone considering that. You could maybe get it down to where it costs like 9, and
I think you could get it to 8, but yeah.
Maybe. All right, so back to the game here. Owen attacks with Hogaak. He gets Maze of Ith. No damage gets through. All right, continue with your story. Matt Brown.
Honestly, though, if we can find something, and it looks like Lance is somewhat struggling here to actually put something together. If we can, okay, never mind. We'll continue the Emrakul story. Another card I would love to see make its way into Legacy is Word of Command. Word of Command is, for those who don't know what that is, I mean, we can probably put it up here. It usually wins the prize for the laziest artwork in the world. And just as that, Owen has seen enough. He's like, okay, I don't want to live on this planet anymore. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. So that one ends up much the same as the first. Not much headway made by the... In fact, did the Hogaak deck do a damage in the match?
In the entire match?
Yeah.
I'm actually not sure. I think
Game 2 it did not. In Game 1, I'm not sure it did either. So kind of a rough showing.
But yeah, I mean, the games don't always work out like that, right? There's also games where Hogaak just like almost combos. I think I've been comboed by Hogaak on the second turn, as early as the second turn. Usually starts out with a crab, and then you go for the second turn with another fetch land, and that's just another mill 6 for free. And yeah, I think the matchup isn't as one-sided as it looked here, but I certainly feel that's probably in favor of lands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and anytime you're playing a deck that's, whether you're spell-based or graveyard-based or whatever your deck is trying to do, and your opponent has main deck hate for it, which in general you're just you're expecting not to see, and then you have your opponent who has 4 1-mana instant speed graveyard removal spells. That's rough. But
so I guess that puts lands. Was it David into the top 8 for sure? Yeah. So first spot basically locked up, and Hogaak with a pretty good shot next. Even if they lose the next round, they are probably gonna still be there. I'm curious how the rest of the top 8 is gonna look like.
Yeah.
I hope to see some Death and Taxes, even though I think we haven't seen any of that yet, because I just love that deck as well. And that's how it's gonna work out.
So wait. You love Death and Taxes. Now, is that because Elves smashes Death and Taxes? Is that why?
No, it's just because I think
your love is entirely based on self-interest.
No, I think Death and Taxes makes for some of the best Magic gameplay. I just really love how it plays. Like I mentioned, it's basically Esper, but of course just single colored. And I love that kind of intricate gameplay where you grind for the tiny advantages, and you have so many things going on, way more than anyone sees. And what a lot of people actually don't know is, I mean, I was kind of like an unknown player for a long time, and then I won Bazaar of Mox in 2013. Right before, like a couple of months before, I was like, okay, I'm selling everything, and I'm just gonna keep one deck that's great gameplay. And I narrowed it down to Elves or Death and Taxes. I ended up going with Elves, and you know what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
But Death and Taxes was basically this close to being my deck, and I really love the deck. It's great Magic.
I mean, yeah, both of those decks do have good Magic, and I agree with you. And I like that they got some new cards in Death and Taxes that really kind of push the power level up a little with Skyclave Apparition to give them some more fight against some of the big decks. So that's going to bring us to the end of round 5, and that's going to bring us to the end of Julian Knab's participation in today's show. He's going to be subbing out for Honorog at the next break. But Julian, thanks for being here. Hopefully everybody enjoyed you, and certainly I enjoyed having you here too. It was good.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Had a really great time. I'm definitely going to be watching the rest of the tournament if I can stay awake. It's getting pretty late in Europe. So thank you so much for that, Joe. Thank you to the NRG Grow and everybody tuning in. Here we're getting really great viewership here and lots of new subs to unlock the emotes. So thank you so much for that.
Before you go, your podcast that you mentioned, is that a current thing you mentioned a few months ago? Is that something you're still doing?
Yeah, it's
all
everyday
right, well,
channel.
Tell the viewers where they can find you at.
People can find us on Twitter at EternalMTG. The podcast is currently hosted on my website, itsjulian.com, but it's soon going to get its own website. So by the end of next month, we're going to have a dedicated everyday-eternal.com website going on. But you can also find us on all the podcatchers. So if you search anywhere, we are releasing twice a month. So check us out. I'm there with Callum Smith and Matt Pavlik. So yeah, see you again for that. Would be great to
that's good. So check Julian out there, and stick around. We'll be back with Honorog after the break. And as usual, he'll probably show up breathing fire and just exploding with energy. And we've got one round of Swiss left, as well as the top 8. So we'll be with you the rest of the afternoon. We'll be right back.